as with boxing, when it's at the elite stage, you can't play games.
Out necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? It's WWE, like I told you.
For multiple reasons. One, they have a huge size difference. Tank Davis is a lightweight, normally fights at 135 pounds. And Jake Paul, he's a cruiserweight, usually fights at 200 pounds.
Floyd Mayweather confronts Jake Paul over the no-knockout rule in his upcoming fight with Gervonta Davis. He criticizes Jake for focusing on selling the event and turning it into entertainment instead of real competition. Mayweather argues the fight lacks seriousness but acknowledges both fighters know what they're signing up for. He emphasizes that true boxing is about skill and competition, not staged rules designed to make the sport look like a show.
But, like I said before, they know what they're doing. Both brothers.
Wade Plemons shared his thoughts on X, noting, "I think we all knew this would be an exhibition, but the Florida State Athletic Commission saying they will display skill without necessarily striving to win using strikes and blows to the head or other full-contact maneuvers probably isn't the best way to advertise the fight." Known for his sharp takes, Plemons criticized the Athletic Commission for downplaying intensity by stressing that fighters won't aim to win through full contact. His comment suggests that such framing might disappoint fans expecting a true boxing showdown. For Floyd Mayweather, the situation plays into a familiar narrative. Even outside his official career, Floyd thrives on competition and controlling the spotlight. Analysts believe his push for a showdown with Mike Tyson is about more than just money. It's about pride and legacy. By positioning himself for a fight with Tyson, Mayweather not only reasserts his presence but also redirects attention away from the buzz surrounding Gervonta Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. This is quintessential Mayweather strategy. Stay relevant, command headlines, and remind the world that his name still carries unmatched weight in boxing. While Jake and Tank generate publicity, Floyd ensures that the biggest story and the brightest spotlight remains on him.
There's so many celebrities and so many people that are known where you can get somebody and they can sell tickets to events. That's what kicked off the social media influence boxing that Jake Paul was birthed from. Now we're in a vacuum. And so there's going to be a lot of conversation about that and continuing to do that. In this particular video though, I want to get into the mind of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and why Floyd Mayweather Jr. would do this. There is the money, but there's also the competitive nature of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and him not wanting to have other people think that they're a bigger star than he is. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has not been able to really launch his star outside of the sport of boxing, so he continues to do exhibitions. Now, what I think is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is announced it at this point in time with Mike Tyson in order to take advantage of the publicity heading into the Gervonta Davis Jake Paul fight, which is, I do believe, set for November. So now that they have all the publicity and all that stuff coming out from that, he's going to piggyback on it and then try to have it in the beginning of next year sometime and actually make it a bigger event than Gervonta versus Jake Paul. And it probably will be. And the reason that I say that is because of Mike Tyson.
At the core of this debate is legacy. Mayweather, retired and undefeated, faces no real risk in exhibitions. His motives are financial and reputational. Jake Paul, still carving a path in boxing, relies on such spectacles to boost his profile. For Gervonta Davis, however, the stakes are far greater. Each fight he accepts now defines his career's direction. By leaning toward entertainment rather than genuine competition, Davis risks alienating purists who expect him to prove himself against true contenders. The pressing question remains: is short-term attention worth long-term damage?
What is going to happen in that fight is basically the same thing as what's happening to Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, except for that is a live action fight. That is a real competitive fight, but the marketing of it is the same thing. And the fact that somebody is going to pay for it is more likely with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson than it is with even Jake Paul and Gervonta. But I think that it really is an attempt to compete with Gervonta Davis by setting up a bigger fight than Gervonta Davis is having. And I'm going to tell you something else too. I would not put it past these people.
The highly anticipated clash between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Jake Paul might have been enough to dominate headlines, but Floyd Mayweather's latest move ensures the spotlight remains firmly on him. For decades, Mayweather has mastered the art of drawing attention, often by stepping outside traditional boxing norms. His decision to sign a fight with Mike Tyson reflects not only his competitive instinct but also his refusal to let anyone, whether Jake Paul with his celebrity influence or Tank Davis in his prime, become boxing's central figure. By positioning himself alongside Tyson, Mayweather instantly reclaimed center stage. The nostalgia of Tyson's legendary name combined with Floyd's undefeated record creates a narrative far more marketable than Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. For many fans, this pairing feels like an event too significant to ignore, overshadowing the hype around Jake and Tank. Meanwhile, the controversy surrounding Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis stems from its classification as an exhibition rather than an official professional bout. The Florida Commission's refusal to sanction the fight strips it of legitimacy in the eyes of purists. Without knockouts or meaningful stakes, critics argue the contest veers closer to WWE-style entertainment than true boxing. While the spectacle may generate short-term buzz, it risks diluting the sport's authenticity and disappointing fans who crave genuine competition.
Face Gervonta Davis in an exhibition match. Quote, you can't do a fight like that as a pro fight, shouldn't have said. It'll be an exhibition fight, end quote. Similarly to the concerning location move, he states that the main reason for this is the significant weight disparity between the two opponents. An exhibition is defined by Florida statutes as a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts engagement in which persons participating show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win, using strikes, elbows, blah, blah, blah. So, the key word here is, key phrase, show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? It's WWE, like I told you. These are set-up fights. These are rigged fights. I know Jake Paul gets upset when people say he ain't a real fighter and all that stuff. But I think the Mike Tyson fight pretty much showed everybody that, Mike was pulling back on his punches, and it just was weird to me. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Gervonta Tank Davis getting ready to sell his soul to go up in here and move around the ring with Jake Paul. I don't know what's going to happen on this. I don't know, but regardless of the fact, the fight is going to do well because it's going to be on Netflix. So everybody got Netflix, so everybody's going to watch the fight. So it's going to be like a wrestling event, basically, fake, scripted.
Former world champion Paulie Molina has been especially outspoken about his frustrations with the upcoming Jake Paul versus Gervonta "Tank" Davis matchup. Molina argues that knockouts only carry true value when they happen against evenly matched, legitimate opponents. Manufactured setups like this, in his view, cheapen the sport and distort its meaning. He further criticizes the credibility Jake Paul receives from participating in spectacle-driven events that lack real competitive substance. During a debate with Chris Algieri, Molina stressed that while casual fans may find such contests entertaining, true boxing enthusiasts recognize the absence of authenticity. To him, the fight lacks the integrity that defines genuine championship bouts. His criticism cuts to the heart of the issue. Authenticity versus spectacle. One of the main reasons this fight cannot be sanctioned as a professional contest lies in the significant weight difference between the two fighters. The Florida Commission ruled that such a disparity creates unsafe and unfair conditions, making an official bout impossible. Instead, they approved it only as an exhibition, structured like a sparring session with controlled rules and no real stakes. This ruling highlights the limits of boxing as a sport. Regulations ensure safety, but in doing so, they expose how unorthodox and unconventional this matchup truly is.
Paulie,
Knockouts, dude. Knockouts. People like knockouts. They don't care if you're knocking out cab drivers. Look at Jake Paul's career.
You can manufacture that though. You can manufacture. You can manufacture.
You can't manufacture.
To a degree, you can. To a degree. I mean, you can, yeah, Gervonta legitimately cannot get knockouts. I agree. He can punch, but there's a lot of limited knockout artists still, man.
He's one of the least active punchers in the game with the highest knockout percentage of current heavyweight.
But if he was a real knockout artist, if he was a real knockout artist, could it prop him up against the best of the best? Felix Trinidad was a knockout artist. He was knocking out the best of the best. If you're a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best and show us how he smokes them. The way we did when Felix Trinidad was doing it. You know, the way they did it when Mike Tyson was doing it in his prime. Okay, say what you want about the Mike Tyson era. He knocked out everyone from 1986 to 1989. Everyone got knocked out. Everyone.
Well, by your standard, you could say that Tyson was to a degree manufactured.
No, because he fought everyone that was there. Everyone that was there.
Teddy Atlas will 100% agree with this.
With the expense of
we're afraid of him.
With the exception of Witherspoon. No, but they all doesn't matter. He knocked them all out. There was nobody you could say in that era except maybe Witherspoon, who had contract issues.
The same thing about
who had contract issues with King at the time. Well, except for Witherspoon, there is nobody Tyson didn't fight in that era. He knocked them all out. You can't say like, oh, but if he would have fought that guy, I don't know. No, with Davis, there's guys right now that have been hanging around for years. Yo, dude, when are you gonna fight them? The lightweight division was stacked with talent. Even at 130, it had a lot of talent when he was there. Didn't fight almost anyone. So it's not the same thing as Tyson era. You want to say anything about Tyson era? Fine. It wasn't as high level or something. He still knocked out everyone. There was nobody there in that era.
Didn't say it was related. It was the same as the Tyson era. Didn't say it at all. I was actually going to say the opposite when you talk about Trinidad. Trinidad is a bona fide superstar, and the way that he was, and like you said, he fought everybody,
and he knocked out.
And he was a knockout punches. No, of course. So that's a different thing. So was Sugar Ray Leonard. Now you also have to compare it to your contemporaries. Nobody is selling, dude. Nobody is selling. No one sells tickets. No one has a following these days. There's very few fighters who actually sell tickets.
There's a push, bro. I was at Showtime.
Alvarez.
I was at Showtime.
Canelo
There's
Alvarez.
a push. Bro, but champ. I don't want to keep cutting you off, but I got to because
they
here's
all
the thing.
push.
There's a push for certain people. I remember being at Showtime and even watching on HBO on TV. They're mentioning Saul Alvarez. I didn't even know his name was Canelo at the time, as a possible Mayweather opponent when they were talking about possible Mayweather opponents. I'm like, I knew who the rest of the guys on the list were. Who the hell is this guy? Who's Saul Alvarez? That he's going on, that you put him in a list with all these other guys that were bona fide champions and high-level fighters.
Broadcaster Adid Oladipo offered a different perspective, arguing that staging this type of fight while both Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul are still in their physical prime is a misstep. He noted that exhibitions make more sense once fighters have passed their peak, citing Mayweather versus Logan Paul as an example. In his view, holding such events now risks pulling both men away from matchups that could truly define their legacies. For Oladipo, the issue isn't just spectacle but timing. Prime years are irreplaceable, and using them on sideshows could damage long-term reputations.
If you agree with it or not, Gervonta is considered the #1 lightweight in the world. And it's a division that includes Shakur Stevenson, a lot of young guns coming up. I'm not any more sure if it's going to include Keyshawn Davis, but it's a hot division. He's considered #1 in that division. Like, that's why I kind of find this a bit, I don't know. Like, there are challenges out there for Gervonta. There are big money fights out there for Gervonta. We want to see Gervonta in those fights. Again, I don't know how many fights people want to see AJ in, just to make the AJ Jake Paul comparison. One, as far as I'm concerned, that was Tyson Fury. I don't really have any interest in seeing AJ in any other more fights. Whereas Gervonta Davis, I wanted and still do want to see him in so many more fights. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. These exhibition things are, like, really and truly, they should all be when your career's done. Like, when you think of Floyd versus Logan Paul, that's done, right? Floyd versus Conor. Did he have one more after? Was that it? I can't remember. But it was right at the end. It was done. Right at the end. Even if it wasn't. Right at the end. These guys having these exhibition fights in between what is the peak of their career is kind of weird for me. Very, very weird. And then it isn't even comparable to Ngannou Fury, because at least these guys were the same size. Like, Jake Paul is a 215, 220 pound guy. I don't know what he walks around at. Gervonta fights at 135. guessing he walks around about one.
Reports revealed that Gervonta Davis cancelled his planned rematch with Lamont Roach in order to pursue the Jake Paul fight. The move raised eyebrows, as it highlighted how spectacle can take precedence over genuine sporting rivalries. Roach posed a legitimate challenge that could have advanced Davis's career in the traditional sense. Instead, Tank opted for the higher-paying but less meaningful option. Critics argue this reflects a growing trend in modern boxing, where financial gain often outweighs legacy, setting a dangerous precedent for the next generation of fighters. What makes Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis particularly intriguing, however, is the clash of attributes. Jake enters with a natural size and power advantage, capable of physically imposing himself if given the opportunity. Davis, on the other hand, brings elite skill, blistering speed, and years of professional experience at the highest level. The contrast raises a compelling question. Can refined skill and technique overcome raw size and power, or will physical dominance prevail? Such matchups are rare in boxing because weight classes exist to prevent them. By breaking that barrier, this exhibition adds both danger and unpredictability, keeping fans hooked despite its unofficial status.
Breaking news: Jake Paul will be taking on Tank Davis in the exhibition on November 15th in Atlanta, Georgia, live on Netflix. And this is crazy for multiple reasons. One, they have a huge size difference. Tank Davis is a lightweight, normally fights at 135 pounds. And Jake Paul, he's a cruiserweight, usually fights at 200 pounds. So there's a good 60 to 65 pound difference here. It could also mean that Tank Davis is no longer interested in competing for titles anymore and is cashing out of boxing. There's been a lot of talks that Tank is near retirement this year. He was supposed to rematch Lamont Roach after their first fight went to a draw, but instead of chasing the Roach rematch, instead he takes the Jake Paul fight for money. So maybe this is Tank's last, or one of his last fights. And same for Jake Paul. He just got ranked number 14 at cruiserweight after beating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. So he's supposed to be fighting other ranked contenders or top guys at cruiserweight, but instead he's taking a money fight. But I do expect these two to go after each other. Even though it is an exhibition, I don't think it'll just be some boring sparring match. I do think they'll try a decent amount. But Tank obviously has a lot more skill. Jake has a lot more size.
Former heavyweight Eddie Chambers added his voice to the debate with a key reminder. Underestimating Gervonta Davis would be a serious mistake. While Jake Paul's size advantage is undeniable, Chambers emphasized that Davis's skill set is on another level entirely. A smaller fighter with superior technique can dismantle a bigger opponent, especially one lacking refined experience. His warning shifts the narrative, framing the bout not as a mismatch but as a test of whether Jake can withstand true elite-level boxing intelligence. For Chambers, the takeaway is clear. Size matters, but skill matters more.
Something like this can happen. This is social media, this is what is created. There's a lane that Jake Paul has created. Honestly, I'm not mad at him for it. He's gotten a lot of fighters, action fighters, some shine. It also has done for women's boxing a lot. So I'm not mad at him for what he's been in boxing, what he's created. This is a little crazy. This is a little crazy. And a lot of people will say, Tank is too small. I'll tell you something. Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from it. And it ain't going to be easy to hit it. Got boxing IQ. He may not sound like an intellectual guy when you hear him talk, but he knows the ring inside and out.
What stands out most is how effectively exhibitions operate as business ventures. Floyd Mayweather perfected the model. Pair fighters from different eras or backgrounds, market it as a spectacle, and profit from the buzz. Jake Paul has adopted this playbook with notable success. And now Gervonta Davis risks stepping into the same arena. The real engine behind these events is not competition but promotion, fueled by controversy, debate, and constant social media chatter. Love it or hate it, the outcome is the same. Massive attention that translates directly into pay-per-view sales.
Make it extremely ugly by grabbing him, probably trying to throw him to the ground. I don't know what else, fight him. I don't know, but I mean, the skill level alone, now of course, there is a size difference, a height difference, and all that, but he's just going to struggle so much landing a shot. It's just going to look bad. To me, this is the way I see it. It's going to look bad. Tank is going to be too fast. And the punch I believe, I'm not saying it's going to knock him out, or, you know, but he's going to feel.
Are you surprised at the backlash that Tank is getting?
No, yeah. What is going on with the, why they mad at the fighters for this?
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned and we'll be back with more boxing updates. Until next time.